Hello everyone, Throttle-On John here. Have this used car that I'm kind of working over to just get in a little better working order. It's a 2002 RAV4. Overall, very solid vehicle. Just noticed a little corrosion here. It was just a matter of removing the plastic cover that had those little plastic rivets. So those pop out and then you remove the cover and not terrible, but a little corrosion on here. And we're just gonna take those off. Hit them with this brush. This is like $2.50 at a local auto parts store. We'll clean the inside and outside of this. This brush, here would obviously be for the terminal connection, and the other end would be for the male end, I guess, and this brush would be for the female end of the terminal. So the positive and negative, we're just going to go ahead and remove those, clean them up with a little WD-40 and this brush, and then put a little grease on there and replace the terminals. I went ahead and got this little kit here. It's a battery installation kit. It prevents terminal corrosion. It has a little grease in there to put on the terminals. It also has these little felty pads that I've found are helpful when you put them underneath the terminals. You wouldn't have to do this. You could just remove these, clean them up with a little WD-40. Use some baking soda and water if you had acid all over, but I don't have acid all over here. And so we're just going to go ahead and clean these up now. You don't want this corrosion to leave you stranded somewhere in the middle of the night. So these are some pretty rusty terminals. I'm just going to spray a little WD-40 on there to make these bolts work a little better. They've looked like they haven't been given much attention for a while, so let's go ahead and just spray that a little bit. And then we're going to loosen these connectors off. We'll take the negative. This is the positive here. This is the negative over here. See, this is black. This one's red. It also has some things coming off, usually come off the positive. So we're just going to loosen up these little nuts so you can remove the terminals. This is a 10 millimeter in this case, so I'm just using a 10 millimeter socket and a ratchet. I'm just going to loosen this one up. Okay, and then when I remove that, I usually will grab a rag and put the negative terminal on top of a rag. So I'm just going to wiggle that off. That just came right off, and I'll put it on top of this rag. Then it's not bouncing back and forth, making a connection and not making a connection, etc. And then we're going to take this positive one off. You don't want to touch metal to metal when you're doing these, when you have a full connection. I've welded before with a ratchet. If you had the negative and positive on here, if you were to touch your ratchet to a piece of metal, sometimes it can actually weld. Got this loosened up a bit. And now this one should just pull off as well. That's all there is to that. That'll just come off. There we go. Okay, now we're just going to clean these off. I'm going to put a rag in there too. Even just spraying these off and wiping around with a WD-40 and a rag, just a Costco rag, you can see how clean these are getting. I mean, they look better already. But just to be on the safe side, I'm going to take this, and you see it's got this thing, and we're going to just polish that up a little bit. That looks really good. And we'll do the same thing on this side. Could leave that cap on. Okay, that looks good. Now I'm going to go ahead and do the same to these ends. Just go in here and kind of clean those out, and then I'll do the same thing on the positive side. Just a matter of getting that in there. You don't have to go crazy, just don't want any loose debris on there. And we'll repeat on the positive side. Okay, I've thoroughly cleaned this with the wire brush. You can see how nice and clean it is there. It's nice and clean here, and I wiped it off with some WD-40. I also cleaned this really well, wiped it off with some WD-40, did the same over here. The contact surface does not have any rust on it. And so now it's just a matter of putting our little felt washers on there and then replacing the terminal pads. Okay, so I just take this little terminal pad, I'm going to put the red one over here, the red felt washer over here, and the green one over here for ground. And there's some grease that comes with this kit. There's some terminal grease that comes with this kit, and I'm just going to squeeze some out. And then I'm going to wipe it on each terminal. I'm going to wipe it on the terminal itself here, and then on the inside to prevent corrosion. So I'm going to go ahead and repeat on this other side, putting the terminal grease over here, as well as on the inside of this terminal. So let's go ahead and get those greased up. This will help prevent corrosion. There's also battery cleaner you could use, and then oil-based stuff you can spray on, but this kit came with grease, and these terminals weren't that dirty, so WD-40 and the brush worked fine. Just kind of a footnote, I got those because I didn't realize the kit had the grease and stuff with it. Okay, so I was pretty liberal with that grease, and greased them up pretty good here and here. And now it's just a matter of replacing this on top and getting that on there. Place the positive first, and we'll get that, wiggle that down, get that seated on, and then we'll snug this up tight. This is a lead battery post, so you don't need to crimp it. So I'll just take this and make this snug. And then we'll go ahead and replace this. Once the positive is snug, we'll put the negative on. So let's go ahead and tighten up this other one. So we'll just go ahead and snug this one up. That's all there is to it. And I'm choked up on the ratchet because I'm not going to crank that down super tight. Instead of being out at the end here where I can get a lot of torque, I'm staying up here. That's just a 10 millimeter. Okay, so you can see I'm just kind of using my fingers here. I'm not going crazy tight. Okay, and then you could always kind of come back and shake it. See, it doesn't, I can grab this here and try to wiggle it, and I can't move it. I mean, it is good and snug. It's tight enough. So let's go ahead, and now we'll replace the negative side. So we tighten the positive side first. Now we'll put the negative side on. Negative goes on last. Okay, so now we'll put the positive side on, and we'll just kind of wiggle that down. I kind of wiggle it as I put it into place, make sure there's no binding here. And it kind of seats in where it wants to nestle in, and now we'll snug down that bolt. Okay, there you have it. Now you have two battery terminals that are free of corrosion. And you can see there's a coating of that grease-like substance on the terminals, and they're not going to rust. They're not going to corrode. So now we can replace our cover. It's just a matter of replacing the plastic cover and the rivets that hold it in place, and you can feel confident. If your battery is of adequate charge, you could always check the voltage while you're in here with a voltmeter, but this is a relatively new battery, and so I'm not going to worry about it. And the car's been starting fine, but just spend a few moments. This is a basic thing, kind of like checking your oil level, checking your battery terminals occasionally just to make sure there isn't any corrosion. It can prevent issues. And this is a very simple car from 2002, but I would say even with modern cars, this is even more important because the electronics are even more sophisticated and they're influenced by voltage. So, and a little bit of corrosion. I've seen just surprisingly small amount of corrosion cause issues, even when I didn't think it would. So definitely this is worth doing, and it's something you can do yourself. I mean, I think this washer kit was, I don't know, $8, and I used a can of WD-40, and that little brush I had was, I think I picked it up for like $3 or something, $2.99. So I didn't do anything here that was expensive, but it did just take a little bit of time, and not even that much time, maybe 10 minutes. I think the hardest part was removing the little plastic rivets that held the cover on. All right, well, have a great day. Thanks for tuning in, and appreciate it, and hope this is something that you can find useful. Just a last footnote: after working on a battery or something like that, throw your rags away because they could have battery acid on them. Wash your hands. battery acid isn't really stuff you want to have on your hands. You could, certainly wear gloves. It's never a bad idea, but this battery was a newer battery, didn't have acid all over, but if you came across something really bad, you could hit it with some baking soda and water, neutralize the acid, and then, go from there, cleaning it, throwing your rags away, washing your hands. You don't want to get acid on your, interior of your car, or wipe your jeans and get holes in your clothes because of battery acid. So just be aware, be mindful if you think you could have battery acid, if it's wet with battery acid. This battery wasn't, it just had terminal corrosion, but that's just kind of something to think about.